Hello everybody, it's David Rauschendorfer, your cybersecurity resource, and today I just wanted to go over a quick session talking about the core security programs that you should build for your organization. Now, there's always going to be some debate in, maybe we should include this program or that program and how people talk about it, but nobody can really, go against the four main programs that we're going to set up, right? So obviously for the first program that we're going to talk about today is going to be your information security program, right? So infosec program, right? That's going to be your core security program, your policies, your procedures, all of those items that are going to help you manage and govern your security program. Okay, the next one that you should have and ensure that you implement is going to be a risk management program. Risk management, right? You want to reduce the risk for your organization to ensure that you can continue to operate without exposure of critical data, which could lead to heavy fines and penalties. And so you want to reduce that risk as much as possible. And there's a lot of things that can go into risk management. Having security risk assessments so you can see what those security gaps are so you can properly manage and mitigate any of the risks that get identified, right? So you're going to have your risk management program, and then you're going to have your vulnerability management program. I'm just going to call it Vuln program. Right? So vulnerability management, you're going to be reviewing your network, reviewing the applications, depending on what your business objective, your business drivers are. You're going to want to be able to mitigate risks by understanding and identifying the vulnerabilities that you have across your information assets. So you're going to be running vulnerability scans, maybe doing a penetration test, things of that nature. Again, depending on what those business objectives are. If you're working with an application that maybe you've developed that's processing, storing, transmitting any kind of patient data, things of that nature, conducting pen tests on those on at least an annual basis is going to be key to understanding what your overarching vulnerabilities are. So you're going to want to ensure that you have a full vulnerability management program. And that's going to take those vulnerabilities that get identified. You can work that into your risk management program and work through something that we may classify as a risk register to start addressing all of those vulnerabilities which become identified risks through that program. The last core program that we're going to talk about is going to be incident management. Penmanship gets worse as I go down the page. Whatever, you got it. Incident management, right? If there is an incident, if you get breached, if you have a security breach, if you have an incident because one of your employees accidentally sends some information about a individual, a patient, maybe some personal information to the wrong individual, and you have incidental exposure or just maybe negligence by their activities, you want to know how you're going to manage that incident, right? Not everything turns into a breach. You can have a security event that gets reviewed and analyzed, identified as an incident, and then understood under continuous root cause analysis if that becomes a breach or something of that nature. So you want to be able to have a program in place that's going to identify how you're going to manage those, what steps you're going to take, and how you're going to communicate and work with any incidents that come across your table that could lead to, again, security breaches or things of that nature. So these are going to be your 4 core security programs, right? And again, there's always additional things that go into these. You may be looking at this and saying, hey, you missed this, right? Like a disaster recovery, business continuity plan, things of that nature, right? You could say that that is its own program. Now, your security program should be reviewed on an annual basis and ensure that they're still up to date. Now, the other items, such as a disaster recovery plan, could easily nest underneath like an incident management program, right? You're going to have incidents. You could have that all the way take you to something like a disaster where you're left without any assets, without any power, without the ability to continue business operations, things of that nature. So again, there are additional items that go into all of these. There's items depending on the size of your organization where you may say that, hey, we classify our access management as its own program because we're a large, maybe international company or just a very large organization, and there's so much that goes on there. We classify that as its own program where we're managing that as as a very high level, top level necessity for the organization itself. But these are going to be your core items. Anything that goes into them outside of that can either be nested into one of these programs or pulled out in order to make it appropriate based on your operations and the size of your organization. But you got to understand kind of at least these 4 core pillars when building out your security program. So when you start looking at different videos and additional content that I may be pulling out and say, hey, I'm looking at your information security program, and you're like, well, you didn't talk about this or talk about that. Well, that's right, because I'm focused on one program that we're going to get into and start discussing what goes into each one of these individual programs, how you can establish them, and how to properly manage them on an ongoing basis. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you get a little bit of understanding from a 30,000 foot view, big picture of what goes into building security programs for your organization. Again, my name is David Rauschendorfer, your cybersecurity resource. If this was helpful, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. And also, I'm here to assist. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I specialize in helping small and medium-sized healthcare organizations with all of their cybersecurity initiatives. Thank you. Be in touch soon.